welcome back to Owl003. Please like, subscribe, and share if you like the content. And, you know, if you hit the notifications, you can get notifications of the stuff I do, so please like and subscribe. So, it's like 3:30 in the morning where I'm at, but I've been working on this project. I'm trying to get it off my plate, so this is just a basic presentation, PowerPoint kind of deal for you guys. But the data within it is pretty provocative and interesting. So what you're about to see, you're going to see things, you're going to see objects and stuff that you probably will recognize, a lot of you. So I would just say strap yourselves in. When I initially went into this project, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, going back to Ingo Swann with the magnetometer, my best guess is if remote viewers were perceivable, I couldn't imagine how that would, how it would be. I certainly didn't expect what came out of this project. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty provocative. Just please go in with an open mind. I mean, it's because it's pretty interesting. All right, so here we go. So Project Psychic Penetrative Defense Technology. Project goals is to recruit 6 remote viewers to determine if there is a technology to detect and or prevent psychic penetration currently operating in the United States today. If such technology exists, determine what it is and how does it operate. Now, I want you to know before I describe this my target queue here, my main concern is the safety of the viewers. I don't want them tapping on the door of some, base where they're doing all kinds of stuff. So I try to kind of wrap these guys in bubble wrap. And I don't know if this technology exists for certain or not. So that's why I put in, if it doesn't exist, just remote view the Statue of Liberty. Okay, so here was the target queue. The remote viewer will optimally perceive and describe the most commonly used psychically penetrative detection equipment in use by the U.S. government today, how it works and operates. If such a technology is not in operation today, the remote viewer will simply remote view the Statue of Liberty on April 19th, 2024. The remote viewer should not perceive this technology if such is in use on site or in any kind of danger or awareness of anyone else at the time of the session. Remote viewer will perceive such technology if it exists and in use from a safe perspective before, during, and after session work. The intention is the understanding of technology and how it works if such technology exists here on Earth, in the U.S., not where specifically. So I'm trying to wrap these guys in bubble wrap as best I can. I would never put someone where I wouldn't go, type of thing, Although I go a lot of places I wouldn't send anyone. So let's get this out of the way. Not one of any of the 6 remote viewers described anything related to the Statue of Liberty. However, all 6 remote viewers did go somewhere, seemingly all describing the same target. Spherical, non-surface structures. John Adams' sketch and description. I hesitate to say it, but a sphere, metallic in nature, with an offset seam, flying freely. He's got this sphere and this cloud in there. Does this sphere look familiar to any of you guys? You ever seen anything like that? In any videos? So, one by one, the viewers described a spherical object. This is Chris's sketch. You can see that rounded objects. And interestingly enough, this AI, something I like to find next to it, you see that other kind of pancakes-like image, like with this energy going. If you just remember that, because you're going to see another image that's kind of going to remind you. So you have this spherical structure, and you have this other kind of shaded gestalt he has here. Okay, this is sketched by Anonymous, and I'm going to move this here. And written descriptions: ability, explosive, bang, bright power grid like nuclear heat. Got another sketch of it above the city. Anonymous sketch and impressions like a fake sun, grid, AOL break, Tron, AOL godless, humming, positioning, rectangular, mind filing, and sensory particle. Now, what's interesting about this target is there's a lot of that kind of stuff with this mind file. It's very there's a, I just want to say there's very like Scientology flavor to this. Some of this description, from my perspective, and it's not my expertise, by any means. But when you go back to some of the old timers, like Pat Price, some of these other guys, like I bet you if Russell Pickering could tell you all about something like that. I mean, that's there's some interesting data points that came up. So over and over, sketch and impression by John Adams. So this is interesting. Dry run, something strange going on, or hard to put a finger on. It keeps feeling like a roller coaster or Ferris wheel sensations, suspended, falling, sphere, going round, up high. So you have the sphere, and you have these cloud dynamics. Remember I talked about that like pancake kind of gestalt shaded. If you look below there, it's very much like what John has in the cloud dynamics. So yeah, big aspect of this target. Sorry, guys. Is this aerial aspect. It's not the whole aspect of it, but it's a big part of it. Okay, here's a rendering by Don. So again, you have this sphere up in the sky, up in the clouds. There's this energy or movement coming off of it. In this, it's often described as like this, yellow, metallic yellow, shiny type of surface kind of description. It's another rendering by Don. AOL, clouds of energy huddling. Now, that's another theme that came in from like collectively the viewers, is these objects kind of huddling together, working as a group. Okay, this is from Charlie. Spread out, few in between. So yeah, how many of these objects may be out there? It's a question I pose. Well, remote viewing data indicates several. Other aspects of this operation include logistics on and within the Earth. John describes barracks, personnel, and a military environment. Charlie describes a rocky underground military environment with restricted access. Charlie describes this area as dark, deep, and hidden. Anonymous also describes an isolated installation. Anonymous describes personnel at workstations. See this guy's down here. Anonymous also describes a room full of screens and technology. Anonymous describes further technological aspects, technological, supermind, mastermind, positional, mind spy. Again, from Anonymous here, in everything is alive. Direction is related here. Moving up consciousness, strobing, fact-checking, one factor, one solution. AOL Black Cube. So again from Anonymous here, endless possibility. Entrance, pineal gland, upgrade, mind file, interchange, strong connection, telepathic, knowing thought, reading, animal to tech, becomes on, particles everywhere, connect grid, particles connection. Yes, you have this, to me, which is almost could be like a, I mean, just looking at it just reminds me of like a biofield or something. I don't know, but it's interesting. And you got a lot of this technology aspect here. So, okay, now I'm sketch one. Computer signal line. Blue and purple, pink waves. This wavy aspect came in quite a bit. These colorful waves, across the project. Sketch 2. Collect data, mind, download. AOL, data cloud. Sketch 3, storage, chill, no windows, AOL storage unit. A lot of times, Anonymous described this, like a metaverse. He almost described it as almost of like, almost like the perspective of, analyzing it, it just reminded me of like almost as if consciousness could be downloaded in a cloud type of thing. You know what I mean? Okay, Chris also describes impressions of technology and searching. So this is a sheet from Don's Matrix, one of his pages. Okay. Let's look at some aspects of this technology through Don's session. In his concepts, he has meandering, and that actually came up quite a bit. The word meandering, not just from Don, but from John and I think others. But senses. In the senses, he had motion, smooth, energy. He had light-emitting thought. Concepts, he had incorporeal cluster. AOL ball in the sky. Senses, he had intelligence, friendly. Magnitude, he had standstill to light speed. In symbolics, he had misunderstood and unnecessary concern. AOL explorers, concepts, cocoon, simple-minded, banding together for safety. Senses, he had a telepathic. In physical, he had visible. So, Don prompts himself here, inquiring, what is the purpose of this primary gestalt? And his impressions were assigned, task, rendezvous. Rendezvous, I think, came across quite a bit, too, from several viewers. AOL Tic Tac UFO. Continue on Don's same sheet, he gives himself another prompt. What is the tasker's interest in this primary gestalt? And he gets origin, direction, aim, implementation, structure, characteristics, design, purpose, hidden or below the surface. So again, this subterranean aspect comes across the project as a whole. On this page of Don's session, we have 3 data points in the upper right-hand corner. 1, surfing the sky. 2, non-human. And 3, UFO/UAF. On the left side of the page, we have remarkable, indigenous, masquerading as human, limited vocabulary, undertaking a journey, tracking and moving. Same page, Don prompts himself again. What is the primary gestalt in target number 4J78? And Don comes back with self-contained object, and that came in quite a bit too. So that I know John had that, and I can't remember who else had it, but I think someone else. Self-contained object, enclosed, moving towards a location, AOL vehicle, and then Earth-like surfaces as AOL. So again, tracking came up a lot. Satellite came in sometimes. This idea of like communication, okay, between different facets. Several of the remote viewers described this descending dropping motion. Don also, again, picking up on traveling, as well as a subterranean aspect of this target. He also describes personnel and pilot attire. This technology is clearly multifaceted. Let's review this target from John's remote viewing perspective for a moment. Okay, John's sense of cloud dynamics came in quite often as it pertains to this target. John writes, a pressure or awareness around this. I actually think I got that wrong. I think that's a presence around this. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got to fix that. But, so yeah, John's sense of cloud dynamics came in quite often as it pertains to this target. John writes, a presence or awareness around this. Okay, so on this page, John again is picking up on this object dropping from the clouds. John also uses a word Don uses to describe the scene, which is a scene of meandering or chaotic movement. He AOLs chatter or caught. It's interesting considering the target. John goes on to describe a wall or shift, an effect, difference in dynamic, phase shift, cycle, energy dynamics. John reports energy and atmosphere with a sense of branching energy. On this page, John AOL's echolocation, something broken away like a tether. So yeah, this dropping motion came in quite a bit. The dropping motion came in, I think, in just about everybody's session. But John really did an incredible job. He really rolled his sleeves up in this one, and he has some incredible sketches. I mean, John's a very, very good sketch artist too. So I tip my hat to him on this project. Okay, so John goes on to explore this radiant energy emitting from these cloud dynamics, and again, here he picks up on the impression of tracking, light and warmth, crackling sounds, jarring sensations, a wind tunnel, and speed. So yeah, he often describes this, this radiant energy, this colorful. John reports a silhouetted rounded object in the background, purple colors, and this branching out energy. So it's interesting, this idea of them in groups, like hiding in the clouds. Interestingly, both John and Don describe a barrier as it pertains to this target. John describes this before his AOL barricade. Small, evenly placed circles or nodules with a structure or black lines in front. And he's got these really nice cloud dynamics here. Okay, in Don's matrix, he declares an AOL of an electromagnetic force. Don gets a concept of a different form of intelligent life here. Elastic, unified, morphing and changing. Don reports conceptual data relating to seeking simple understanding here. Between John and Don's data alone, there seems to be clear indication these spherical objects often operate high in the clouds, moving at great speeds, operating in numbers seemingly undetected. The evidence of the defensive aspect of this technology seems apparent. The next question in my mind is, does the remote viewing data propose this technology has any applied offensive capability? The answer to that is a resounding yes. From Anonymous Session. Tech that kills. Re-rendering. Marginalize. Superpower. Positional. Mind to mind. And then here's just what I was talking about. Mind to cloud connection. Tech that kills. Anonymous describes a signal or energy entering the pineal gland. So, you get this guy, he's kind of the center of his head. This viewer is actually, like, he sees, like, the targets just the way, he's actually must have a really good instructor. But, anyway, so, you keep an eye on this little flame here. And John had something very similar. AOL javelin missiles flame or something on fire. Military soldiering feels present. So there's this kind of this vibe of this like directed, and then Charlie describes something similar. And then that kind of reminded me of it as well that Chris had. Like looking through binoculars and seeing this explosion or something. So Charlie describes having restricted mobility. Other viewers reported sensations of vertigo, confusion, and even nosebleeds. So the next question I propose is, what is it we are actually dealing with here? It's a sketch from John, actually. Anonymous describes some kind of robot-like sentience that seemed alerted to his presence during their remote viewing and actually said hello to the viewer by name. He's got like a hive mind. So, yeah, we'll get into this, but just so it's clear here, he went into this session and this thing said, "Oh, hello, so-and-so, hello, Anonymous," type of thing. And he right away knew that this thing, he writes down there, it knows I'm there. He knows he writes it in his, so he's aware of, and it has a little bit of dialogue. It says hello to him, okay? In fact, 3 of the 6 remote viewers reported being spotted or having dialogue with this sentient AI, for a lack of better terms. In Don's session, he used a heuristic tool to attempt to blend with the primary gestalt. In doing so, he was spotted and made contact with the presence at the target as well. Don reports the message in his session. This is what it says to Don. "I think you have misjudged us. We are simple beings without motive energy. Together we travel the stars like jet aircraft to a physical location. We must prevent exposure to hostile influences. Nice observing you. Is that wild or what? These guys are blind to this target. And that's contact number 2, okay, of the 3. Let's go over John's summary, towards the end of which John reports being under observation. There is airiness, cloud dynamics, fluid movement, heights, some man-made objects, one of which seems spherical. There are some indiscernible silhouetted objects in front of a background. There is a glowingness, light penetrating or poking through a cloud, what seems to be clouds of another quality, possibly a change of weather or energy. Something seems to be lifted up into the air, moving as well as dropping. There feels like rather tall heights within clouds, giving a strong sense of standing, floating or falling from up high like vertigo, which I sense in the nervous system. There is a presence in the clouds watching me, or whatever or whoever is here, but with an energetic element, light and something changing. Now it's interesting, the light too, because Anonymous describes something similar. But, so, again, John's getting a sense of being detected by whatever this thing is, okay? Now let's take a look at Don's summary. Initial impressions were about feelings of experienced at a place. Not my feelings, but the target's. My section B listed state of mind, reacting, a sense of moving, traveling, across and above, descending in bright light, a sense of puzzlement and confusion at or by the target, with emotional peaks. The sense of movement continued with strong emotional reactions to this movement, almost like I was remote viewing sightseers. I don't usually list this, but I had very unusual ideograms with odd internal angles and sharp points. I found these difficult to probe or understand. I was confused, and this confusion may be part of the target. In the past, these sorts of odd angles indicated a life form that doesn't think like us. On page 6, I picked up the primary gestalt was not only moving but being tracked, self-contained, again, and had a sense of intelligent control. The notion of assigned task and rendezvous came up. Since I didn't seem to be understanding how to proceed with this target, I tried blending with it as an experiment. This would be the first time I tried to channel a remote viewing TRN, target reference number, remote viewing target. The words that came back indicated they were simple life forms that have been misjudged, indicating unnecessary fear about them. I got the sense that these intellects clustered together for safety. In other words, they traveled together as a group. Next, I have the summary of Anonymous. I felt life forms around a technology subject. The sketch on page 2 felt to be a signal line with tech and computer system. Next on page 3, sketch 1 was like a laser coming in with multiple colors and channels of data coming through. Sketch 2, on page was a sense of collecting data from human and sending into a computer, putting in some kind of system. Page 3, sketch 3, was a building with no windows that was boxy. Page 4, sketch, I was half face and half robotic, like a chip system. Page 4, sketch 2, felt like sorcery was used to help influence a thinking computer. Page 5, sketch was tech that can beam back and forth. It was going both ways, traveling at light speed. Page 6, sketch, I was in a room full of monitors and controls. It was cold here. Next, on page 7, I was at a desk with toys that was a stand-up desk. Sketch 2 on page 7 was this flaming thing entering the mind. Page 8 sketch, it continues with enhancing the pineal gland like upgrade, almost like a chip, but not a chip. Sketch 2 is all these little objects all around inside, and they are all connected. Page 9, sketch 1 was all these living dots connecting and communicating, and communication. Page 10, sketch 2 was a blackish cube picture came in. Page 10, impressions coming through in and data very quickly. It was so hard to write down. I tried my best. It was like playing duck pond, and I grabbed stuff out as it flies by me. Page 11, sketch was a ball of energy. Page 12, more impressions coming in. Sketch 1, page 12 was elevated. Elevated and rocky. Page 13 was this bright energy that got brighter and went white, then dark. So that part at the end kind of reminds me of what Don said. Was it Don? Or was it John? Maybe it was John. With these colors on and off. You know what it kind of reminds me of is like the way it's being described. It almost reminds me of like fiber optic transmission or something. You know, like the lights flickering on and off. But who knows? Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. There's plenty of data to go around in this project. And there's still one piece I have saved until the end of this presentation. Where did our government come by this technology? So glad you asked. As luck would have it, the remote viewer James Shear happened to land in this target at the moment the U.S. military acquired this exotic technology. James' first impressions are an esoteric vibe. James is describing perceiving from an old era. He is describing this target as reminded him of black and white sci-fi movies from the 1950s and 60s. James described an event taking place at night. James describes this event as a UAP cleanup operation taking place over a period of 2 days. Further into the target, James describes a heavy-duty military vehicle called in to remove this UAP. UFO, whatever. He describes a UAP. James reports the aspect of an advanced military program connected to this target. During the session, he reports callbacks or visuals of the MIB movies and the Transformers. James reports that he feels Russia is aware of or possibly involved in this operation. He describes the landscape as farm-like, and the UAP had malfunctioned, crashed, and broken into 2 pieces. Both pieces were loaded upon the unmarked heavy-duty vehicle, and the UAP was taken away. Upon further investigation, Jimmy was picking up on waves and pulses. He senses a signal that feels to be coming from space. James goes on to state he feels the signal is what relates to what is inside the UAP. Upon entering the UAP, James describes the object as being completely autonomous. He had to look up these words, actually. He didn't know what it was. He was getting automation. But autonomous was the word he had to look up. Also within the UAP, James describes a mechanical articulating arm that related to a control mechanism, which he describes as all very high tech. He describes the UAP as being connected to another system or site. A system working together. James refers to this as a data gathering reconnaissance mission for this object. James felt this object was attempting to collect data around the area of Earth. James' impressions were this event was originally reported as a plane crash, but some locals took notice that it was not a plane. He then describes a lot of deception involved in this event, again, spinning the story and implementing a cover up. John also, or I'm sorry, James, oh, yeah, John also had the impression this technology came from a UFO UAP recovery. So it wasn't just James, even though James did his whole perspective was on this event. John also had felt that as well. Okay, that was his impression. So James' full session is available on his YouTube channel. Remote viewing, artist, musician, and I encourage you to watch it. My summation after analyzing all the data. Upon review of all the collective remote viewing data, I think it is highly probable this technology exists in working order today, and our government, some part of it at least, has access to it. At no time did I get the impression of life as we describe it from the viewers. Robots, automatons, from going over all the data, and from the descriptions of the interactions, this sounds to me to be a very highly advanced form of AI, perhaps even sentient AI. The data surely indicates a human military personnel, but the interface of this technology reads as anything but that. None of the remote viewers reported any clear signs of aggression to them personally, but for the remote viewers that had communication, it seemed they were well aware of who they were and knew exactly what we were after. I think it's also worth noting, if this technology is up and running, we may need to seriously second guess as to what to interpret as accurate data as it pertains to esoteric targets. There's been more than one instance where one remote viewing group goes after an unverifiable target, and that group has a completely different finding than the group that worked it before. They have consensus within the teams, but when two teams go different, they have different stories. Now, these objects may be the reason for these occurrences. So special thanks to the remote viewers, James Shear, John Adams, Don D. Corsell, Chris Niemack, Charlie Peralta, and Anonymous for all their remote viewing contributions to make this project a reality. Now on this presentation with a sketch from Pat Price. Thank you for watching. So, there it is, guys. I have some editing to do, but that's pretty much the bulk of it. I mean, it was a very interesting project. It was nothing like what I would have expected. So, and I want to tell you guys right now, if you think this is not, out there, I really suggest go ahead and go after it. See what you get. This is what I got, putting together 6 remote viewers of different modalities, completely blind to the target. They all seem to keep describing the same things. So, we'll catch you next time on Owl003. Please like, subscribe, and share the content. And we'll catch you next time, guys.